All right, good morning, folks. How's it going out there? Welcome back here to a Monday holiday out here in the States, February 17th, 2025. February 17th, 2025 is the date there. Goodness. Clearing up some information out here. Got a couple emails in regards to a 9.0 earthquake here across Italy, I believe is where they had it, across the Naples region, around the Campi Flegrei region, the volcanic field. That appears to be some type of error going on from that false earthquake that was registering a 9.0. It was got put out here by an app, an earthquake and volcano app, and I went back here and looked. Well, obviously a 9-pointer is going to leave a trace. Even an 8 or a 7-pointer would do the same thing. But it was around 1746 here, roughly about an hour or so ago. And the only thing I can think of, it was just an error, because really nothing was around that time frame of any type of significant magnitude at all. So an error, which I have seen throughout the years of monitoring earthquake activity, it does happen. And I don't believe the USGS put it out. It was from the I think it's the Volcano Discovery website here, which is this site that monitors the earthquake activity. And I think they have an app as well, or maybe it was just put up here on their main page. Either way, the 9-pointer is a false earthquake that was put out here from the Volcano Discovery website. Far as Italy goes, in the Campi Flegrei volcanic field, they're entering into another earthquake swarm similar to what we had here last year. There is the area of interest there on the map. A number of earthquakes. I think they're up around a couple hundred or so in the Campi Flegrei region. Let me pull this up here real quick. Excuse me. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm still a little under the weather. Since the 15th here of this month, the seismic swarm has been underway across the area of the Campi Flegrei region. Got magnitudes up around, it looks like the highest an upper 3. Now, this is an area that is very seismically active, right? And in terms of inflation and deflation, I can't say you can really feel it, but this is just one of the areas around the globe here where we see continual inflation and deflation events. In fact, I think this is the one of the most active areas in terms of that type of event. But of course, always when we're looking at earthquake activity or increasing inflation, there's obviously a chance for an eruption type event. 282 earthquakes with magnitude highest at 3.9, and of course we got quite a few small ones as well. So, as I mentioned here, this is a phenomenon that has already occurred in the past. For example, back on May of last year, there was a decent swarm of some larger magnitudes than what we're seeing right now. So nothing is elevated in terms of, oh, wow, what's going on here? We've never seen this before. This is something that happens on a continual basis. And the last eruption here, I pulled up a little bit of information on the Campi Flegrei volcano, the Fields area, last erupted back in 1538. It looks like the eruption occurred as a result or after a period of 3,000 years of inactivity. The eruption lasted 8 days and created enough material to fill the horizon north of this region here with a new hill. So earthquake activity, ground inflation has been continuing. It's been monitored. There's nothing out of the ordinary there. If there was indeed a 9-pointer there, I would assume that everything, blew there in that region. But there's no 9-pointer. The ground uplift is not anything of what we have seen in the past. Of course, there's always, even if you think about it, there's always a larger chance of an eruption when we see these elevated events here. One of these times it will pop up again. But as of right now, there's no major change there. Got 118 cm of ground rise since 2005. That's fairly slow if you really think about it. A little bit of uplift in the acceleration of the ground lift between 2021 2023, and it's just it's an ongoing deal. Again, one of the most active areas in terms of inflation, deflation. But as always, it's possible we could see an eruption eventually if things escalate. But right now, they are not escalated in terms of something unprecedented. We've seen this in the past. This will probably more than likely just continue for a little bit and then die off and then pick up again here in a year or so. But as far as any unusual activity there across the Campi Flegrei region, this is just normal. This is the process that it goes through here all the time. And no 9.0 earthquake from anyone aside from the Volcano Discovery website that probably put it out by mistake here. I don't know if they put out anything here in terms of their error. Magnitude 4.8. That was in Portugal. That is a decent earthquake up there in that region. In fact, let me pull that up. Where'd I go here? Go back to the USGS map. That's an interesting earthquake. Don't really see a whole lot of activity up there. Last year, if I remember right, we had a 5-pointer. Let me go check that real quick. Anyway, that 4.8 off the plate boundary there across the Portugal region. It is in the red because of the population density and the felt reports that were coming in. So we'll go back here 4.5 and above to the year 1000. This doesn't mean it's going to cover every single earthquake in that region since the year 1000, but I just want to show you guys that that earthquake activity in that region. Excuse me. All right, so today's event, hopefully it'll pop up here. Hello. There we go. Okay, today's event, 4.8 early this morning. That was about 6 hours ago or so my time. That's local time, California. There was a 5-pointer really close here to today's event last year in August. A little bit larger 5-pointer. A little bit bigger quake back in 1909. So as you can see, earthquake activity, and this is just 4.5 and above, does happen out here. And they can get some larger events. It is off the plate boundary where we see much larger events, but as you can see, things do kick up there on occasion around this area of Portugal. The largest event, at least here in terms of the plate boundary region, 7.8, right along the plate boundary, 7.8 back in 1969. So earthquakes can do and will happen out there. It definitely has been, more active in terms of volcanoes and rift boundary activity. A lot going on specifically underneath this region. Looking at the Santorini area today, a lot more active than yesterday in the last couple days here. Getting back into the 5 magnitude range here late last night. A couple other 4s in there as well. Just checking out the seismograph station here. Let me pull that up. That is not, is that today's? Double check that. There's today's event. That is today's reading. There's the 5-pointer, one of the biggest signals there on the seismograph recorded stations here. A lot of 4s in there as well. Things starting to kick up after a little period of quietness here yesterday. As you can see, still quite a few 2s and 3s in there, but the bigger earthquakes are coming back into the sequence of events here, and that's something to watch pretty closely, as I'm sure we're well over 12,000 earthquakes here in the last couple weeks in this region of the Santorini, Greece area. It's been an ongoing event with some fluid movement being observed here on the seismograph stations a couple days ago. Go back here and I'll show you guys right there. That was on the 14th. So about 3 days ago. That is continuous noise. Notice that here? The red, the blue, almost continuous harmonic type tremor. Very indicative of fluid movement down below. And then we started kicking back up, and a little bit of earthquake activity. And then it looks like it died off here for a little while for yesterday and the day before. But that was short-lived, and we're back to seeing fives and fours and a whole bunch of other events out here. If we look at the seismograph stations here in the area, this is a live recorded view. See a number of earthquakes. Those are probably some upper twos or so. This seismograph station here, R25B3, sits down in this area. There's also this station here, which picks up some of that earthquake activity as well. But the upper threes and anything above that will show quite nicely on that seismograph station. 1,007 earthquakes here. The number has gone down a little bit because of the couple days of quietness. This is the last week of earthquake activity. Let's go ahead and check out these magnitudes here. 3-pointer in the last 9 minutes. So that's probably going to be the 3-pointer right here, showing up on the spectrogram as well. Prior to that, quite a few 2s and 3s, and of course the 5 and many other 4s out there as well. I want to see where that 5-pointer struck at on this map. I don't want to go back that far. Hold on a second here. Yeah, there's still lots and lots of earthquakes here, folks. I'm telling you. Why did it do that? 4.2 in the mix there. I'm just seeing if there's any spreading out of these larger events. That one's well north. That 4-pointer there on the map, if you look, it lights up as a blue circle. Let's see, another 4-pointer there. It's all over the place still. It's not really confined to one area. It's just continued movement out here. That 5-pointer, according to the USGS, is just right there in the mix as well. Spreading out, I mean, it almost looks like this area is getting bigger. Periodically, we'll see earthquakes pop up around this region to the north and south. That's indicative of a main focus area of intrusion underneath this region specifically, within that circle range, as you can see on the. I got so many windows open here; it's crazy. But it's been busy here on this end. Around this main area right here with the southward migration towards Santorini. Not so much here recently, although there's still, a number of quakes there. Looks like from yesterday pointing down in that region. And nothing has changed yet. I haven't observed a secondary fluid movement type event. Just that first one there about 3 days ago on the 14th that showed a couple hours there of fluid movement. So that even reconfirmed my suspicion that this is magmatic. In no way is just earthquake activity. Right now it's just earthquake activity, right? But there's a cause behind it all. It's not just plate tectonics. This is definitely a large magma intrusion underneath this area. And it's just a wait and see scenario. That's all we can do right now is be prepared. Far as any updates here on the volcano discovery website, let's see what we got here. Latest news. That's the earthquake reports. Number of active volcanoes out there, of course, but that's almost always common out here, folks. There's really nothing of major newsworthy stuff here at the Santorini area. Just still got a whole bunch of earthquake activity. Something's going on, right? If you really think about it, if you look at this chart more recently, going up in terms of major earthquake activity around that region, there's definitely something going on here. Shows a 4.3 on here, but we had a larger one than that. As we've seen on the on this map, 5.0. Well, this was just before midnight my time, 4.3, and it's just a continual earthquake event. Just got to watch and see how it plays out. It's definitely been elevated out here recently. Not a whole lot of newer activity following the Ethiopia Rift boundary earthquake of that 6-pointer here few days ago. That was right in the middle, very close to the Fantail volcano. This region has had a number of earthquakes. This is just a fraction of them. 41 earthquakes of various magnitudes. If we go back the last couple months here, it's up in the a couple hundred range. And it seems like following that activity is when things really started to kick up north here around the Santorini area, Flegrei, Campi Flegrei volcanic fields, elevated activity. Just a whole lot of movement underneath this region here recently. A lot of convection going on in the melted areas. But yeah, I mean, all we could do right now, just keep an eye on it, folks, and see how this plays out. Can't make any predictions because really no one knows exactly what's going to happen. It could be something or it could be nothing. Either way, the longer it continues, I think the likelihood of it being something is much elevated. Earthquake here outside of my neck of the woods. I did not feel this earthquake. 8:50 in the morning. 2.3. That's a very shallow earthquake there across the Sacramento Valley. A couple more earthquakes up here in Northern California. 2.8s. A couple of them. Nothing major going on across the Cascadia subduction zone for now. The Bay Area of California, pretty quiet for now. After last week was pretty active with a number of earthquakes on the Hayward Fault. Today, not so much. In fact, if you look at the 2.5 map and above, well, got one earthquake way down south here, south of the border along the plate boundary for 2.6. Aside from that, some of the earthquake activity yesterday, including one on the San Andreas Fault. That's been quite active over here on the southern branch. One earthquake today, 1.2, after a swarm of it there in the last few days. Still keeping an eye on it. Things are not calm yet. I mean, there's still some elevated signs here around the region. And, of course, you know, anything can happen at any given time here along this plate boundary. It's well strained, well overdue, and it's just we're living in the future. We're living in that time where, you know, the big one could be happening at any second. A couple earthquakes off the coast here of Los Angeles, off the coast here of Malibu. And it's been a little pattern out here if we really think about it across California, and not just confined to Southern California. It's been all over the place out here. Northern California, the Bay Area, a lot on the creeping segment and the Parkfield section, which is, by the way, overdue for at least a 6-pointer here soon. So things are active, and just nothing big to report so far today. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up there on the graph, but I do want to double check that and see. My voice is a little bit better today, but I'm still not 100%. Not a zip zero. Nothing going on here across Yellowstone National Park. Pretty quiet. Not seeing any earthquake activity whatsoever. The rest of the states out here, some movement out in Kansas, a little bit in New Mexico, and the oil fields here in Texas. Aside from that, eastern portion of the country, pretty quiet. Little lonesome earthquake up here from yesterday. Looks like a little 2.5 up in Maine. Far as the largest earthquake so far, well, a lot of these from yesterday. Today's earthquake there in Portugal takes the top of the chart there for a 4.8. That's after midnight. These other quakes here from yesterday. So maybe we're just getting started today. A lot more activity here across the Caribbean plate and the South America region. Look at that. Quite a bit of movement. Yeah, South America. Mixed bag from yesterday and today. But noticeable uptick there across the Peru-Chile Trench. Oh, yeah, quite a bit here. It looks like some 2s and 4s and a bunch of 3s cluttered in there. Caribbean plate, as mentioned, quite active as well. Things adjusting down across this region. A lot of older activity up north here from yesterday, but look at all these newer events around the Puerto Rico Trench as well. Up north, got one earthquake here, a little 3.4 outside of San Juan, Puerto Rico region. Definitely keep an eye on this area. Look at all this movement happening around it. It's got the strain put on it. Of course, that 7-pointer that kicked up here, it's been over a week already. I can't believe it. Goodness. 7.6, the largest earthquake so far this year. And in fact, that earthquake, the 7.6 there outside of Georgetown, Cayman Islands area, is the largest ever in this region. A few years back, a 7.5 came into this area, but the 7.6 here, that's the largest recorded in this area. That's pretty decent sized earthquake. But it does look like things have amplified a little bit in terms of adjustment around the entirety of the Caribbean plate here. That's a region that, well, it's a smaller plate, and it's just getting squished and moved around and bullied and subducted, and a whole lot going on here with the South American plate moving to the north, and a lot of convergent and divergent boundaries out here, putting the squeeze out here on the Caribbean plate. So we may see some further escalation around this region, just looking at these spread out quakes. So keep an eye on that. Hawaii, did we kick back up here in terms of eruption? Let's go see what's going on here. Refresh this page. Looks like maybe there's a little drop here in the deflation or the inflation chart. Yeah, I don't see anything, unless it was a short-lived eruption last night there at Kilauea Volcano. This update here is put out from this morning, Hawaii time, 8:15 a.m. Some eruption remains paused there. It is likely within the next 1 to 3 days that we'll see another eruption. But that's a little interesting mark on the deflationary chart. Going up, and now we lost. Something happened here overnight. Unless there was an eruption, and I'm sure they would be aware of it, but that's a little interesting type deflationary event. Now we've gone off to stationary, so I'm starting to wonder here if we didn't have a little short-lived eruption last night, or it's possible we could be getting some of that magma flow diverting off from the area, because this has been a rinse and repeat type of cycle in the last month or so, last couple months, where we see build up inflation. This is the inflation chart to the eruption, which is going to cause a deflationary mark here on the chart, similar to these here. And then it builds back up, deflationary, which means an eruption, and then here's the building back up, leading up to an eruption again. It's just been a repeat cycle here. But that little mark is interesting, because we haven't seen that in the past 9-10 episodes or so. So something's going on there. Lost some inflation without an eruption. Like I say, unless there was one last night, and they just haven't put out an update yet. But we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Some further activity up north of Alaska, well north of Barrow, Alaska. Never quite made it this far up here on my trip to Alaska a few years back. I flew into Anchorage, rented a car from Anchorage, drove up to Fairbanks. Beautiful area in between this region. But I really wanted to go up north here and see the tundra area. It'd be kind of cool to see. But didn't have enough time. Either way, Alaska's absolutely beautiful up there. Doesn't matter if it's winter or summertime. A lot of earthquake activity happening north, though, in the region, more so than normal. So not for sure if that's building up to something of significance or not, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Let's see, Japan area. Let's see what else we got here. Japan. Not so much activity here, but notice that super deep quake, 4.3, into the Izu Trench, 219 miles deep. Watch this area, Nankai Trough. I know a lot of times we can see strain build upstream from these deeper quakes, but depending on how much strain's built up here, we could see that pressure transfer over here across this region. A lot of times that does take place here. If you look at the general plate, this is the Filipino plate, Nankai Trough right here at the tip of the fingers. That's Japan. General plate movement, all pointing towards the west-northwest, putting the strain right here. And this region of the Nankai Trough here is coming up for a mega quake, or as the reoccurrence intervals here. Yeah, still waiting on an 8-pointer. Anytime now. It's been awfully weird that we've gone 4 years now without an 8-pointer. Last one back in 2021. All right, what else we got? Pretty typical out there in the crunch zone. A little bit more active. We got a little deep activity here across the Banda Sea region. Quite a few 4s. Just an overall typical day, it looks like, though, across the crunch zone. Not a whole lot of activity building here yet. I think it's been building. We've seen a lot of deeper activity across the Tonga Trench recently, but it's gone silent. That whole area has gone quiet. So eventually it's going to fill in a big fashion. Pretty much, I'm thinking somewhere Papua New Guinea area eastward along this plate boundary up to Fiji should show some larger scale potential here soon. There's just been way too many deep quakes back here, more than normal. And that's got to be putting the strain out here. Doesn't take hundreds of years to see large earthquakes out in that region. It's sometimes it only takes 10, 20 years of built up strain to produce some big earthquakes. All right, let's see. Take a look here at California real quick. Nothing major going on yet. Santorini, Greece area. Nothing major showing up on the seismograph stations. 2.2 New Zealand. Looks like the last earthquake here in the Santorini, Greece area is going to be a 2.7 there. Right in the mix. Although a little bit further south here than the main area. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it, folks. There's really just a waiting game. Space weather activity. Getting a little bit of, I can't say elevated, but getting a little bit of sea flare activity out here in the last 24 hours. Looking a little bit more active. Nothing big, a little M flare, very low grade M flare. I'm guessing that's coming off of a one of these newer sunspots here. Let's see what we got. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of large areas. Maybe over here across the western limb, showing a little bit of flaring right now, but that's drifting off further out of sight, out of mind. And the latest imagery here of the magnetogram. Watching these newer sunspots over here, but man, there's really not a whole lot of interesting development out here. This area looks like it's grown a little bit. That's currently flaring, but again, that's going to be out of sight here very soon. So we'll see what these regions may have in store, but it doesn't look like there's going to be much here in terms of elevated flaring activity. I forecasted a 1% for X flare. These guys have a 10%, 45% there for M flare. Nothing major going on in the Aurora forecast. A quick glance here at the next close approach asteroids here. See which ones are coming close here soon. Not a whole lot, actually. All these are millions of miles away. Even though they're fairly large, they are safely passing us at a decent distance. Nothing major for severe weather. Did we even have any tornado reports yesterday? Let's see. Storm reports today. Here's yesterday. Yeah, not even one tornado report yesterday. I guess that's good, right? So that's a bust for tornadoes, but that could be a good thing. Previous day on the 15th was updated a little bit. Looks like it was updated today. There was 12 tornado reports down there across the south area. It's they had a lot of rain. Goodness, a few tornadoes being reported on that one. It's possible they haven't updated yet this area, but nothing showing up there on the tornado reports. All right, as far as the weather patterns go, a lot of cold air coming back down into the southern plain states. Looks like Tuesday, well, this whole week's going to be cold out there. A lot of snow forecasted for that area, even some ice down in the southern Oklahoma. Looks like Ardmore area, even Arkansas, getting in on some of the fun. That should stay at a fairly level area here. I don't see it dipping way down like we did in January, along the Gulf Coast states. But areas north here, we should get some snow, even some ice, maybe some severe weather down south here. California, a little bit more rain as we head into the middle of the week. After that, well, a mixed bag of all sorts of stuff. Not a whole lot for California, though. So here's today's thermal anomaly map. Notice that cold air going to drop way down here in the center portion of the country. That's literally probably 20 to maybe 30 degrees below normal, not below zero, but below the average for this time of year. And then looks like some warmer air comes in, but towards the first week of March here, it looks like a massive cool pull of air coming down from the north, keeping winter around. So that is, I'm okay with that. I live out here in Northern California, and unfortunately, it's not the Coast Range or the mountains. I live here in the Sacramento Valley, and it pretty much acts as a big death valley out here. Downslope winds. Sometimes we're 30 degrees warmer in the valley than we are up in the mountains. So easily, Redding it can easily hit 118 degrees numerous days in a row. 115 is not out of the question there for Chico on any given year. So I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not quite ready for summertime temperatures here in Northern California. It's just not a good temperature range for me. I don't know anyone that likes 115 degrees. That's just crazy. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Keep an eye on things. Again, that 9-pointer, just a false phantom earthquake. It's possible someone accidentally put it out on the Volcano Discovery website. I don't believe USGS put it out. I didn't get a notification, nor on the EMSC model. So it was limited to the Volcano Discovery website, and that's this website right here. It's mistakes are made, right? Number of quakes per year. A little interesting chart here. Looks like some type of uptick if they're reading, if it's going off of worldwide. There's our last 8-pointer, July 28, 2021, up in Alaska. They got a lot of good information on here. It's pretty decent, but hey, mistakes are made on occasion. The 9-pointer never happened. I guarantee you a 9-pointer would show up all across the world seismograph stations there. And more than likely, the reports that were being felt earlier were related to that 4-pointer out here in the Portugal region. Maybe even some of these quakes around the Naples region as well. But no 9-pointer. That not very common. Our last 9-pointer was back in 2011. They can happen. They definitely can. And I think the longer we go on without seeing an 8-pointer out here, it's possible we could see a 9-pointer. Because if you think about it, on average, we should see an 8-pointer once a year, anywhere on the globe here on the map. If not once a year, then once every other year. But it's been 4 years. So just got to watch, wait, and see. Have a good day, folks. If you got the day off, relax, enjoy. I still got a bunch of schoolwork I got to do here today, on top of everything being sick. So it's a little draining, but we'll try to make the best we can with this. Have a good day. We'll see you guys back out here a little bit later on tonight for the Monday night update.